This is the Lockpicker 1969, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to the next episode of Interview with the Lockpicker. Today's guest is Ronnie Kane. Say hi.
Hello there.
So, where are you from?
I'm from England, near Oxford.
Okay. You lived there your entire life, or?
Yep, never moved very far, never felt very adventurous or risk-taking in life. Stayed fairly near my parents, fairly near what I knew.
Hey, I've lived in Michigan my entire life, so I I understand. So, how and when did you get into locksport?
Um, I've kind of had a lifelong fascination with puzzles and problem solving, but I got into it seriously about 4 or 5 months ago. Um, I started by just getting a cheap set of lock picks and a transparent lock from Amazon, I think,
Okay.
and opened that up and quickly moved on.
Okay. So I would imagine those picks didn't last very long before you were needing more solid tools. So what did you move to from the Amazon set?
I found uklockpickers.com and ordered a selection from there. Um, got uh, some sparrows, some mockies, some Jimmy Longs. Only really used the mockies to start with. Then moved on to using the Jimmy Longs more in anger. Um, I
Okay.
just, and now I'm sort of moving back to mockies. They both make wonderful picks. I
Oh,
was very
yes.
fortunate to stumble onto them before I found some expert advice, which would have been to go for one of those two.
Yeah, definitely. Love both of their picks. So so you indicated you watched quite a bit of YouTube. What were you watching?
Um, I've always loved watching people who are excellent at something doing that thing and explaining what they're doing. Um, and lockpicking first came onto my radar when I was watching uh, a guy in California. Uh, no, not California, Florida. I'm sorry, they're all very far away and I get confused easily.
That's
The guy
okay.
from Florida, he's a machinist, old manual machinist, and he does some excellent lathe and mill work. And he just talks through his process and his plan for making every part. And going into that stuff, I started getting offered by YouTube. Hey, are you interested in this other mechanical kind of YouTube content? It's about lockpicking. So I sort of drifted into lockpicking lawyer and Bosnian Bill from there, and that then into Locknoob as well. Love Locknoob, and that just made it look much more possible to open really high security locks
Yep.
and solve these much more complicated problems. And
So
that's what made me kind of pick it up and go, yeah, you know what? I can do this.
yep. So if my notes are correct, that was A Bomb 79, I think.
ABOM79 is his YouTube channel. Yes, I
Yep.
forgot that.
Yep.
Uh,
Okay. So you dove into the community and you got started in Reddit first. Can you talk about your dive into the community and where that took you?
yeah. I was looking for locks. I'd opened simple locks. I'd um, bought some junk locks on eBay and was having mixed experiences with those. Some were very easy, some were full of gunk, and I wanted to get better locks. So I started searching around for lockpicking communities. Google pointed me onto Reddit. I found it. Founded? No, that's very wrong. I didn't found it. I encountered the lockpicking subreddit
Yep.
and almost immediately saw the sidebar saying we've got a Discord. So I jumped into the Discord and found a wonderfully helpful community full of people who are offering time and expertise just for the joy of it, and got pointed on to the Lock Bazaar there and better ways of finding locks that would be a better challenge for me. The belt system in particular I love because it just assigns a reasonable level of expectation to each lock and gave me some idea of what was worth spending my money on at that time. And
Yeah, the
that
I don't know if you played with the Belt Explorer, but that is one amazing app. So
it gives gives me so much more confidence when I'm spending my money that I'm going to get
yeah,
something about
definitely.
the right level. As
So you're talking about the belts. So what belt are you right now?
I am currently purple belt.
Okay, you're working towards brown or red.
Um, yes, definitely as a stepping stone.
Okay, so talk about your journey just a little bit about getting to purple. Who like who encouraged you or helped you along the way? If you want to mention any names.
Um, Uh, there are a few people who are particularly helpful. The community in general is amazing, and whenever I asked any question, there was asked in a public forum, and I was always encouraged to ask and felt very welcome to ask things that may have been silly questions, but you know, any question you don't know the answer to is a good question. There
Yep.
was never any shame in not knowing anything. So I just went to the public forums, well, the Discord channel, and asked around. There was a guy called Ed McBain who was going through and still is going through the belt progression at roughly the same rate as me. He seemed to get on very well and encountered many of the same kinds of locks. And more lately, I've been getting a lot of very valuable advice from Isaac, Midnight Philopica.
Yep.
He's so generous with his time
Yes, he is.
and expertise, and I would not have opened my Medico lock if not for him. And that was the lock that tipped me over into purple.
Awesome. Okay, so you got to purple, so you went through blue and you did a challenge lock. Can you talk about your challenge lock? Maybe a little bit about the lock itself and who you sent it to get it reviewed so you can get credit for it?
Yeah, that was an interesting experience. Um, the belt system is so well thought out in terms of the skills it makes you pick up and how they're going to support you through your lockpicking journey. And I could see this challenge is designed to make you think about how a key bitting affects the difficulty to pick, how the different parts of driver pins and key pins can interact with the shear line, and uh, everything mechanically about a lock that you need to think about um, as you pick, you're made to think about as you make this challenge lock. So I very quickly went into a deep dive on that, thinking, how do I make the best, most challenging challenge lock that has ever challenged anyone? Um, and then fairly quickly realized that if that was my thought process, then I was never going to make a lock. And set myself a new goal that I was going to make a lock that was more difficult than the one I started with and was fun to pick.
Yeah.
Much more achievable.
Yep, definitely.
So I started with one of the junker locks I'd picked up on eBay earlier. I cleaned it up nice, started turning my own pins. Shout out to DMAX videos. Those made creating and machining pins seem like such an approachable activity.
Yeah.
When before that, I just thought, how am I ever going to machine anything like that? I don't have those tools. Oh, just need a Dremel, you say?
Yep. Yep.
I'm there for that. Um, so started making some pins, put them in a lock, tried it out, seemed to work. Ended up sending that one over to Ed McBain, who gave me some excellent feedback on it. Many thanks for taking the time to write that up, Ed. He talked about his experience picking it and his views on what was fun, what was not fun, what I could do to make the lock last longer, and that advice is playing into making my future challenge locks better.
Ah, good. So you're making more.
Absolutely. I'm definitely
Yay.
going down the deep dive of the much more complex ones, which means you're going to have to wait a while before you see the next one, but you
You
will see it,
you've
and then
fallen
we'll
down
make
the
sure it
rabbit
does the
hole.
rounds.
You've fallen down the rabbit hole.
Very much so.
That's good.
Such an
Good.
interesting set of thought experiments to go through.
Yeah. So I would imagine you have a YouTube channel. You probably started it like most other people do in doing your belt videos. But what did you do with it beyond that?
So there's always a lot of content on YouTube, and there's normally a dozen videos on any topic. There are a few things that I wanted to find as a beginner that I couldn't. The main one was when I was struggling with my Master 410 Lotto lock. I couldn't get that thing open, and I could barely feel what was happening inside it. So go to YouTube, find tutorials on opening this thing. They're like 3 to 4 minutes long, some 5, which already a little worrying. Half of that video is someone talking through what's in it, what security pins you've got, and then the demonstration. They say, okay, use light tension, poke gently, click, click, click. There it is, it's open. Now you know all there is to know, and that didn't cut it for me. I
Yep.
I feel like there is a need for a more
Thorough.
thorough, and I'm going to say honest presentation of making mistakes with a lock and failing to open it. Which is not to say that anyone is trying to be dishonest, but you put your best take up on YouTube to make yourself look good and to try to avoid putting people off with a video that's 20 minutes long of you
Yeah.
trying and failing to open a lock, because who wants that?
Yeah, that's really that's the battle. So no one's going to stay and watch 20-minute long video on picking a lock unless it's a much higher level advance. And then even then you've got a limited audience that's at that level wanting to watch that. And they'll watch it for the whole time, but you're like I said, you have a limited audience with more advanced locks and yeah.
Absolutely.
So
But and no one does that with beginner locks, which as a beginner I felt like I was missing. I needed to see someone go through making the simple mistakes that beginners made and say, oh, here's what I've done wrong. Here's how I can tell that's what I've done wrong. Here's what I'm going to do about it. So I started making content along that line. So far, that's only one video. I've only been in the sport for a few months, and
sure.
like I said, there's a lot on YouTube already that's covered. But there were a lot of ideas around tensioning and pick pressure that I had not encountered in a beginner-friendly context before. So I started putting that down on camera and putting that up for the world to see. And we'll see if they find it useful and interesting.
Okay.
I genuinely hope they do.
Hey, send me a message after this interview, and I'll be happy to get some of your stuff onto some of my playlists that I have for tutorials for pickers.
That's so kind of you. I certainly will.
Love to add them. So, all right. So, where do you see yourself taking your channel from this point then? You going to keep doing more of those videos and
Yeah, I definitely intend to. As I find topics that I think I can explain better than other people out there,
Hmm.
which is a high bar to reach in many regards. There are so many great channels out there. There's so much great instructional content.
Yeah.
Um, that and throwing up videos of interesting pics. There's
Awesome.
always more belt videos to put up.
Yeah.
But
Okay. So
if I can raise the bar for the standard of instructional
yeah,
content,
there's
you'll
nothing
be
wrong with wanting.
delighted.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to try to do that. Nothing at all. Um,
Yeah.
so what do you do for a living?
Computer programming. I uh, design and create computer systems for businesses. Um, I've been in business to business retail, business to consumer retail, selling um, stuff on the internet, and I've now moved into digital security for national infrastructure.
Oh, cool. All right. So, okay, so during the pre-interview, you talked a little bit about being into rock climbing. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that that's been a passion since I was very young. I was about to say very small, but that's not true. I was never very small. I think the height is one of the reasons that rock climbing appealed to me. It was nice physical activity, and it feels so good to be able to conquer something that you have to literally look up at. And um, the mixture of mind games and physical exertion are great. Plotting your route around the difficult obstacles and um, needing to keep your mental faculties there when you were physically exhausted in order to succeed.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that that has to involve quite a bit of stamina and endurance, and I would think that lends over into one of your other hobbies with running.
Yes, the running I came to later in life. Um, I We all need to stay fit, and I cannot bring myself to do exercise indoors. I The whole outside world is right there, and I can just go out and see it. When I was younger, running was just a mode of transport. I would go from A to B on foot, and why not run? Couldn't think of a good reason not to, so I would run. Um, and later in life, I started to see the value in turning up to places and not being hot and sweaty when I got there. So started to take my time and relax, but running is still fun. It's good to just get out there and cover some ground.
Okay, so when you're out there, so one of your other interests is photography. Is that when you're able to have some moments where the perfect shot shows up while you're maybe running or climbing and take a picture or
Outrunning, yes. Outrunning and hill walking. Rock climbing, I would not take a delicate camera with me.
no, I would
I,
imagine
I
not.
am I I am very much one of the try many times, fail many times, and eventually
Ah,
succeed kind
got,
of learners.
I gotcha.
And with climbing, I have smacked into the side of a wall on a rope so many times.
Ooh, yeah. No,
I
that wouldn't end well for the camera or you, but
No,
yeah.
no. My first driving license had so many coin imprints from that kind of impact. Um, but yeah, when I'm out running, I'll take the camera bag, nice lightweight thing, camera swinging at the side, and I will stop and take pictures. Love landscape photography.
Cool.
I I am enthralled by the people who can manage to take good street photography, but I don't quite have that human storytelling approach to life. I can't spot the still image of a story happening in reality in front of me and recognize it in time. So, landscapes, slower moving things, I can take my time, play with the light balance, the the light path,
Mm-hmm.
the focal plane, and the technology.
Okay, so when you're not on the run, literally, or on the move in general, you do play chess, though.
I do play chess. Chess has been something I've enjoyed all my life. I played that back at school, and um, I've drifted in and out of it over the past 5 years or so. I've been much more into it. Uh, my struggle with it lately has been that I want a fun, relaxing hobby that I can do after work.
Mm-hmm.
And chess is fun, but doing it well is draining.
Yeah.
I, it's satisfying and it's very fulfilling to be able to study something and get to grips with it at
Yeah,
the
I'd say it requires a very high mental acuity um, to play it well, anyway. But
yeah.
all right,
um
go ahead.
it's very hard to say when you do play it well because there's such a range of skill levels out there, and all you end up with is a rating score given by some website that says you're doing better than you were 6 months ago, or worse, or in my case, kind of hit my level and plateaued. And I love the problem solving element, and I love being able to look at a situation, work out what the right thing to do is, and then do it, and then win something. I do like to win things.
Yeah,
Um,
uh,
but it was tiring after a day at work,
yeah,
and I think that's kind of why I fell into lockpicking as a great love so quickly, because you can do it at your own pace. If you just pause and hold tension, you can stop and think, and it's like a fidget spinner that you can win, which is very much what I'm into.
okay. So, last question before we wrap up. What is your favorite thing about Locksport?
Um, I love that it is a safe space to be arrogant. That
Okay.
you need to approach a lock thinking this thing that someone has designed to be impenetrable is something that I can beat. And you might be proven wrong, but you need to go in with the belief that you can do it. And in professional life, in family life, in dealing with other people in the community, you need to put your arrogance to one side. There's no way to deal with other human beings. But if you're dealing with a lump of metal that is expecting a key and isn't going to get one, it's it's lovely to be able to just approach something with um, a completely baseless level of self-belief, and then through that sheer confidence, prove yourself right.
Yeah.
And if you manage to give yourself that proof, there's nothing quite like it. That final click.
Yep. So, is there anything you'd like to say to our audience before we wrap up?
I would like to thank the whole community for being uh, so welcoming and supportive. Everyone I've encountered has encouraged me to do better and offered me confidence when I started to lack some, and offered me so much helpful advice and support. And you're all a lovely bunch of people to share a hobby with. And I look forward to meeting more of you.
Awesome. Thank you for doing this interview. I definitely enjoyed getting to know you and being able to talk. The pre interview was a lot of fun to just chat away, which we did. So, thank you for that. All
It was
right.
indeed. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So, we'll wrap this one up. If you are a subscriber, thank you. If you are not yet a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications and all, and hit like on the video. And again, thank you for listening.